Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest case study here at the Transport Innovation Online Summit, this time brought to you by Swiftly. My name is Luke. I'm the editor of Intelligent Transport, and I will be moderating this session for you as Swiftly talk us through bus route optimization using big data and their work on this with operator Strito in Reykjavik. I'm joined for this session by Craig Nelson, European Business Manager at Swiftly, and we'll also hear from Siggy Olofsson, Department Manager for Passenger Service at Strito. For those of you watching live, please do not hesitate to get your questions in for Craig and Siggy throughout the presentation, and we will answer as many as we can towards the end. For now, though, allow me to pass over to Craig to get us started. Over to you.
Great, thank you, Luke. Happy Friday, everybody, if you're watching live, and happy whatever day it is if you're watching on demand. Really excited to be here. First of all, some thank yous. Thanks to the organisers for putting this all together in such difficult times. Had a really good time, and I'm really looking forward to doing our presentation today. All right, so what are we going to be talking about? So first of all, in our session, we're going to just talk a little bit about what Swiftly is. And then I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Siggy, and he's going to talk to you about Strito in Iceland. And he's also going to talk to you about how big data is used at their organization. Then I'll talk about a little bit about bus planning and how the planning team at Strito have used Swiftly to make improvements. Siggy will talk about the passenger, so how his team uses Swiftly to improve the passenger experience. And then we'll wrap up with some key results of our partnership so far together, and also some takeaways for the audience. So things that you can take away back to your organization to think about, how could we do some similar things using similar data? But before I do that, before we crack on, we'll introduce ourselves, and I'll hand over to Siggy to introduce himself first. Thanks, Siggy.
Hi everybody. My name is Sigurður Grétar Ólafsson. Maybe not a very easy name, but please feel free to call me Siggy. I am a department manager at Strito, an Icelandic bus company. I am educated as a math teacher, but for some strange reason, I ended up in passenger service. That might have something to do with my interest in numbers and public transportation.
Great, Siggy. Yeah, I don't have any, I'm not very good at maths, but I've been to Iceland, and a fantastic place. I would highly recommend that anyone has the opportunity to go, please go. So I'm Craig. I'm the Business Development Manager at Swiftly in Europe. And I work with customers and partners like Siggy and his team to deliver the Swiftly platform. I have a background in real-time information, passenger data. I've been a consultant before I worked at Swiftly. Worked in the United States, so I have a really good understanding of what real-time information and real-time data can bring to a transport agency, as well as how it can improve the passenger experience. So just to continue, what is Swiftly? So Swiftly is the first big data platform for public transportation. We're a SaaS platform, so we're hosted entirely in the cloud, and we're completely hardware agnostic. So one of the things that attracted to us to working with Strito is they had a lot of open data produced by their on-bus systems. So we were able to integrate Strito pretty quickly, matter of weeks. And then they were able to start analyzing and understanding how their network, their bus network, operates both in real time, so right now, and in the past, historically. This enabled them to look at what could be going wrong on their network and what they could improve, and also using the Swiftly platform to make recommendations on what they should be doing. So this allows Siggy's team, the planning team, a lot of different people across the Strito organization, and it's important that I kind of get that across, they can quickly visualize data to build consensus across all of their teams, from operations to customer service, to planning, to scheduling, to the IT team. They're able to look at the data and provide passengers with feedback, as well as using the data to improve schedules and optimize their bus routes. So we have over 80 transportation agencies, customers worldwide. We're a company that's based in San Francisco, California. So a lot of our big customers are in the United States, but we also have a strong presence in Europe. We're working in Iceland, Sweden, Finland, and making some really good inroads into the United Kingdom as we learn more about bus operators and agencies in the UK. So yeah, lots of operators varying in different sizes from 2,000 vehicles through to a dozen vehicles. So Swiftly basics. Okay, so we're a big data platform, but how does this whole thing work? Well, we need just two pieces of data, and this is what we got from Strito. They had an open data portal, which was really easy for us to understand. We downloaded their GTFS data, so the schedule data, so where vehicles are supposed to be and when. And then we also grabbed their GPS data, so where the vehicles actually are in real time. And this data comes directly from their buses. It's their automatic vehicle location data. And then there are optional feeds. There's optional data that we took from Strito. They have speed data, so we can provide current bus speed information to customer service. And we can also consume passenger counting data, which is really important right now during COVID. And we can also consume driver ID data. So the anonymized data ID of a driver can be pushed into the Swiftly platform. But what does that actually mean? What do you get out of that in the end? So there's four key things. We can provide real-time passenger predictions, something that Siggy's team has been using in customer service. We can provide performance data, so historical performance data for analysis, which the planning and scheduling team have been using. Operations team can use it to manage dispatch and services, which again, Strito use. And then also, we started to push information to the driver now. So we recently launched our brand new onboard app. This can be installed on a commodity tablet, goes in front of the driver, and the driver can learn about if they're on time, if their schedule, they need to improve their timing, or if perhaps they're headway. They can look at whether they're bunched or gapped. So we really cover the whole gamut, from what the passenger sees through to what the driver sees, through to what Siggy's team sees in customer service, and through to dispatch. Okay, so enough about me. I'm going to ask Siggy to tell us all about Strito as an organization and how they operate.
Right. Yeah, Strito is the main public transportation company in Iceland. We run buses in the capital area and throughout the rural countryside as well. We also run a paratransit service for handicapped and older people. So we do have, we have very complex tasks, although our mission is to get people quickly from A to B. We can for sure say that we are the main public transportation company here in Iceland and leading in our field. We have been bringing our big data usage to a modern and up-to-date form. We moved from homegrown and multiple external tools that we found not sophisticated enough for our needs. We combined most of our needs. We felt that few things were missing, but Swiftly helped us with a different approach. We changed this to our needs. Before we had to move from one tool to another with multiple users' accounts. We now can count on Swiftly for planning and scheduling, and at the same time use Swiftly for agents in operation and customer service. We do have over 50 users, staff members, and contractors. Our planning department have been using Swiftly for about a year, simpler than previous tools we used. We have seen up to 20% improvement on on-time performance. The result is satisfied passengers that can count on our information. It is very important for our agents in frontline to have quick and correct information. We need a quick access, always. With Swiftly, we can predict when a bus will be at the bus stop. We can see if the bus is behind or ahead of scheduled time. This is very important for us, especially in the rural areas of Iceland and elsewhere where we have a less frequency on the buses.
Great, thanks, Siggy. So just to summarize kind of the scale that Siggy and his team operate at, the Swiftly platform is providing information for over 180 buses, which cover around 50 routes. And as Siggy was saying, some of them are urban and some of them are super rural. So they're countryside based. And this is where passengers really do need very well optimized routes and excellent passenger information. So to do that, we collect millions of data points. Every piece of data that we collect off of Siggy's buses, we store in the cloud. 50 daily users, over 4 departments. I think that's really crucial. And then, as Siggy was saying, we've managed to get this 20% on-time performance improvement before they started using Swiftly. And also, we've been supporting Strito through the COVID-19 pandemic, and again, providing really accurate predictions to passengers and allowing the team to just monitor what has been happening to the health of their network during COVID-19. So yeah, I'm going to move on to bus planning now. So planning is now a lot faster. So when we first started working with Strito, they did use data, and I think Siggy got that across, that data has always been used at Strito in various ways, but it took a long time to analyze a route. It took about 3 days, but now it takes 1 hour with the Swiftly platform. And once they make the changes, they can monitor them. So all of these things that we do, we analyze the data, we make changes to the schedules. Did they work? And if they don't, or if they need to be iterated slightly, they can do that very quickly and then monitor them again. So it's a really positive feedback loop. One of the interesting things that we did find is driver feedback was one of their key sources of information about whether a route was working, whether they were getting complaints from passengers, or a driver wasn't able to hit their timing points. They get a lot of feedback, and obviously that takes time. And driver feedback is still used, but it's no longer a primary source. And now our runtimes module, which collects real-time journey time information and presents it in a graphical format, provides a planning team with just this information very quickly from the previous day. And they can still speak to the drivers and use Swiftly platforms to speak to drivers, but now they have a better source of information. And importantly, what the planners are doing is through Swiftly is making use of existing systems. So systems that already exist and APIs that already exist. Strito has some really good onboard hardware, which we don't provide, but we can hook into, and data feeds. So they're not having to recreate the wheel. So how do they improve OTP by 20%? It's really simple. They use two key tools. The first one I'm showing you here is our on-time performance module. And this is a health check of every route and every stop. So the planning team can look at, okay, so how are we doing from a top down? And then they can peel back the onion layers to see, by a route by route basis, and which ones do we really need to focus on? So what they did was they looked at which routes have the most early departures. So we can show them that, and then they can prioritize making changes using the runtimes module. So the runtimes module shows every trip for a route, and I'm showing the route 5 here, and it shows where perhaps they may need to add journey time or maybe take journey time away. And they can also see the dwell time. So how long is a bus spending at a bus stop, and how long is it spending in traffic? So they can then look at this and then press the suggestion button, which then provides them with updated run times between stops to make sure that the schedule that they're putting out there works for the passenger, and it means that passengers aren't going to miss their bus. So it's a very easy way to see this information and know what they should do to make it more reliable. Okay, over to you, Siggy, to talk about the passenger.
Yes, thanks. One of the things I like most about Swiftly is that I can access Swiftly from anywhere. I am data-driven, so using Swiftly cloud-based information on my way in the bus is, sorry to say, sometimes very satisfying. We now finally have the full picture of our performance. We do not need to switch between homemade and external tools and rely on information from our drivers to puzzle our picture together, make information useful. It took time, and therefore in some cases it did not get done. We even missed out on simple improvements that sometimes can make the difference. We still talk to our drivers, we keep our doors open, but at the same time, we can rely on data. As a result of that, we now have better understanding of what happens in the buses. The GPS playback is easy to use, and we can react on customers' complaint, accurate data, information that we know are up to date and reliable. We are now working on how to implement the APIs for further use, such as in our app, future app, customized information board, and in many other interesting fields. And for you all, data lovers, although we know the power of simplicity when sending out information to customers or stakeholders, a deep dive every now and then is necessary. We need to serve data sources to get deep understanding of problems, why they keep occurring, and of course, what is most important, how we can solve them.
Great, thanks, Siggy. So so we've been working with Strito for nearly a year. It's coming up to our year anniversary. And we've been really excited to work with them, not only because they're in Iceland and it's an amazing place, but they are a company which relies on data and has been very forward thinking. They've released their data, they've made it available. So companies such as Swiftly, and there's other companies out there that have used Strato's data to do things which can improve the passenger experience. And that's what we've been really focused on over this year, and helping them achieve their goals. So we were really excited when the planners told us that they'd achieved a 20% increase in on-time performance with an hour's work per route. I mean, that's just fantastic. So ultimately, this means that Siggy gets less complaints through the phone. It means that the passenger is just more happy with what they're being delivered as a service. As Siggy was saying, they now have an instantaneous view of the network performance data right on one screen. Siggy is a data geek. He uses Swiftly on his phone, and that's not the first time I've heard that. One of our other customers gets in trouble from his wife because he looks at it on his iPad at the dinner table. It's addictive. So, but he has this all in one place, and it means that there's lots of other people across Strato who wouldn't normally have access to data because, I don't know, they have to get IT to install a complicated program, but they can run it in a Chrome browser, and it's there for them to look at. And it's becoming the norm, and it's becoming the way that they interact with information. One of the really cool things, and the Strato are kind of expanding into BRT, so bus rapid transport. And this is unfortunately one of the key planners couldn't make it today because she's extremely busy working on this project, and she's been using Swiftly to do so. And she would be able to tell you about this, but we do a vehicle speed mapping tool. So we can show the speed of a bus across a route and through a corridor. And she's been able to use this for the BRT decision-making to work out where do we put our routes? Where do we put our rapid transit routes? And then once these rapid transit routes are in there, they'll automatically get added into Swiftly, and they'll be able to monitor, how well have these worked, and provide that information back to the municipalities to kind of show them, the investment was worthwhile. So she can instantly visualize where all these vehicles are and potentially where they're being held up, completely visually and quickly. And then the last thing, now we've done this, we're moving on to even more into the passenger about how the platform can also provide the predictions, really accurate predictions to Siggy's customers. And they already do it through our live map. You can click on a stop and it shows you when the bus is going to arrive. But there is more potential for this data to get pushed into apps such as Google Maps, such as the app that Strato have, which has ticketing, which is actually excellent, and we've been using it. But all of these endpoints using an open API. So you don't have to be tied into a particular hardware manufacturer. It can go anywhere. So we're really excited to start exploring that. And again, it's all from one platform. So I have a couple of minutes left, and I'm going to just talk about key takeaways. So we've been chatting to you about how we've been doing all of this, and Siggy and his team and Swiftly have been working in partnership to do this. But what can you do? So the first thing I would do if you work for a transport agency or an operator is to see if there's any open data available. Open data is fantastic for innovation, and it can make innovation happen, and it can make things like the 20% increase in bus optimization happen. In the UK, we've got BODs coming, which is excellent. This is going to be a way that bus data can be released. But for anyone else in other countries, just go and speak to your data team and see if the data that you have can be made open. Then go speak to your planners about data. Ask them, what do you do? What's your day job? What are your pain points? Would having data all in one place solve issues? I suspect it will. This is what we found in Iceland and other places. So just go and have a chat with them. Other thing is, how accurate are your predictions? Are you getting complaints from your customers that the predictions you're putting on apps and signs are inaccurate? Is it good enough? Ask your existing vendor, can you supply us with your accuracy data? It's possible. So yeah, really drill into that, because predictions, as we've heard across the piece this week, are becoming increasingly important to deliver this in real time. And then finally, if you have a number of teams planning, scheduling, dispatch, just ask them what's slowing them down. What is stopping them from improving? What are their pain points? And then how could a unified data source help them with their job, and ultimately, help them with their passenger experience? So yeah, 4 things. that you can take away and share with your organization. Siggy, anything else that you would like to say before we hand over to questions?
You did a good job, Craig, but
thanks.
I would maybe like to give my high five to the Swiftly team. They're open-minded, they're focused and very helpful. We love working with you guys to have discussion and to improve Swiftly for us and other users at the same time. So Craig, please just pass it forward.
Thank you. It's very kind. Yeah, it's really good to know. Thanks, Siggy. I really appreciate it. Okay, so I'm going to say Q&A time, and I'm going to say thank you. You can reach out to me at email, come to our booth. We'd love to hear from you, and I'll hand back to Luke for the questions and answers. Thanks.
Thank you very much indeed, guys. Great presentation and amazing work, really, and absolutely fascinating, really, to see the kind of behind the scenes glimpse in managing these services. And I think, it's important to say they're services I think we all took for granted up until about 6 months ago. And also cool to see how efficient this work has been. Like you said, you've been working together for nearly a year. Happy anniversary, by the way. You guys obviously get on incredibly well, and it's great to see that kind of working partnership and relationship that's developed over the last almost 12 months. So yeah, we've got a little bit of time left for Q&A, which is great. I mean, from me, just to kick off, looking at this project, what really comes next for you guys, and how do you move forward with it now and continue to improve on-time performance beyond that 20% you've already achieved?
Sorry, my headphones just broke up. Can you just ask the question again? Sorry.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So just looking at what you've achieved already,
yeah,
what comes next, and how do you move forward to continue to improve OTP?
Sure. So from our perspective, it's business as usual for Strito. They will be using the platform. They tend to. What's great is they do their summer and winter timetable updates as is normal in the Nordics, but they are looking at in between periods as well. So the planning team are constantly using the on-time performance tool to see how things are going and how should we iterate. So that's one thing. And also, and I alluded to this in the presentation, is our next step with Siggy and his team is to get better predictions out into the hands of his customers. We already provide that information, but the next step is to connect them using open data standards. So we can produce in GTFS, we can do Siri. We're looking at other standards as well. So looking to the future is really hammering that passenger experience. Siggy, I'm not sure if you have anything to add to that.
No, not really. You covered it pretty much.
Great, thank you.
Perfect. And yeah, Craig, you've answered one of our audience questions there as well, in which open data standards you support. So hopefully that has gone in, but feel free to reiterate if you like.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we're all about open data standards. We're always adding new ones, keeping an eye on upcoming, such as NetX is a good example. But our company was born out of GTFS. When GTFS, which was the standard which originally developed with Google and TriMet in the States, that's how our company wouldn't exist without open data. Yeah. And there's a great question from Soren, actually. How did we get together? That's a brilliant question. Through open data, Soren. We found their website and we found their data, and we emailed a couple of people and integrated their data. And then I think I emailed one of the planners, Siggy, and we met at a conference, and we were able to show Siggy and his team swiftly running with their data. And that was how our relationship started. It was, look what we've done with your data. It was pretty simple. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Siggy, did you have something to add?
No, it was just simple and romantic the whole way.
Yeah.
There's definitely a theme developing here. So another question, another one from Soren, actually. Siggy, for you, have you measured passenger satisfaction before your work with Swiftly and after?
Yeah, we have the measured before, but we have not done it again, mainly because of COVID and circumstances now.
Of course.
But we usually run it in the spring, but we put it on hold, of course, to the circumstances.
Yeah, for sure. You can imagine that data being fairly skewed by the events around the world over the last 6 or 7 months. Cool. So one more question. Have you managed to source passenger loading figures,
Yeah.
which is obviously critical under current circumstances and will become a convenience for passengers later on as we kind of move through this process that we're in?
Yeah, it's a spot on question. Really good. Thank you, Alistair. So we haven't done this with Strato yet, but we can do with any, if there's equipment on board, such as automatic passenger counting, and particularly those that can provide it in real time, we can calculate crowding. And we've done it for, I think, 3 agencies in the US that are testing it out at the moment. But it was a project that got kicked off during COVID. So we're just getting to the point where we are testing it with 3 of our customers who have the equipment that we need. It will be extremely convenient. It's going to be able to be pushed to apps as well. So that's our goal. It will appear in our live map. So, let's say Siggy's team had crowding on their live map, the customer service team. They can provide crowding information over the phone, but our ultimate goal is to provide it via an open API such as GTFS real-time, so it can go to any apps or like Google Maps or whatever apps that can consume GTFS real-time, so the passenger can see it on where they access information the most, which tends to be smartphones. So yeah, we have sourced it, not in Iceland just yet, but once there is information from the Strato buses, we can certainly do that.
Yeah, for sure. And Siggy, I wanted to come to you as well to ask about passengers. How important is it when you're working in a project like this to understand your passenger flow, as well as what their requirements and their demands are as the world kind of changes? How important is that when you're looking at a project like this, and how does how does that inform the work that you want to do with Swiftly moving forwards?
Yes, I'm not sure where to start actually, but can you maybe specific question a bit?
Yeah, that's fine. So just looking at your passenger demands and their requirements throughout these changing times, how important is it for you to understand exactly what they are before you look to move ahead in your work with Swiftly?
Yeah, of course it's very important, and also to have the possibility to integrate the numbers of passengers in the buses as well. It's very interesting and something that people will definitely like to know more about. Nobody wants to be on a covered bus on days like that. So this is something that I find very interesting and something that we definitely need to take a deeper look at and implement as soon as possible.
Yeah, and just to add to that one thing that we do with our customers, we work quite closely with them this was one of the things when we started with Strato, is we didn't do everything that they needed. So we worked very closely with them to make sure that we could do as much as we could and develop new things. So we're a software as a service platform, and if a great idea comes out of one of our partners, we really seriously consider implementing it. And there's been a few things and Strato were pretty strict about it that they really wanted to do, and we found that they were fantastic ideas that other customers would benefit from. And that's why we do something like passenger counting and crowding. Is we can do it for one customer that asks for it, but then it's going to benefit all of our customers if we can implement it. So
yeah, absolutely. Sorry, Siggy, go ahead.
It just, if I can add on that Greg just talked about. The good thing about new approach is that we are all about habits. We do it the same way as we have done it before. So seeing it from another angle and getting others' opinion is always helpful. It makes us think about things again.
Yeah, for sure. And I think hearing that, it's obviously increasingly important for public transport operators and their vendors alike to be to be as flexible as possible in delivering these solutions. So obviously, Craig, from your side, you know, as a service solutions provider, you know, it's not necessarily all just off the shelf. You're more than open to hearing suggestions and looking to build new functionality where you think it's going to help the wider industry.
Yeah, exactly, and that's kind of the core of our business. Is we have an excellent off-the-shelf product that can do a lot for an organization, but we're always listening, and we have a really big spreadsheet full of customer feedback. And whenever we visit a customer like Strato, everything that they mention we take down, and we take to our product team, and we have meetings and talk about, you know, they had this idea, what do you think about this? And then if someone else asks for it and we see a pattern, then, you know, we do these things, and it enables us to provide the best service possible. You got to listen to your customer.
Yeah, of course. All right, we are just about out of time, unfortunately. I have no doubt that we could sit here and talk for another half hour. I mean, you guys easily could.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, that does bring us to a close. But thank you very much indeed for the presentation, for taking questions and discussing it afterwards. Yeah, it's been really enjoyable to sit and talk to you guys. Obviously, for the audience, if you know, reach out on the platform, connect to Craig and Siggy, and, you know, send their questions. Make sure to head over to the virtual exhibitor booth for Swiftly as well, and we can get any of your answers, any of your questions answered there too. So yeah, make sure to connect and stay in touch. But for now, guys, thank you very much indeed. It's been
Thanks,
a great.
Luke. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Iggy. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.